there's the Army.
And we don't have the banners.
There's some beer brand and something else. I'm also happy to stand upstairs.
Well, so we're gonna need somebody to check people in.
Okay.
And I'm not staying for the whole event, so I need to leave at 6.
Speaking
Wait,
of
did I?
on her way.
I'm Jillian. I
Hi,
don't know if we
Jillian.
formally
Oh.
met. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
I
formally.
heard you're killing it.
How are we gonna do the check-in?
I have my laptop. I'm gonna set it up. Yeah, get it set up with a slot open, and we can just.
Okay, so you want me to put a chair outside?
I think there's a table.
Yeah, there's a table, but I haven't put chairs. I'll put
So it
chairs.
starts at 6.
Yeah, start. Oh,
Okay, so people are arriving
yeah, right
before
like
6.
before 6.
Okay,
Yeah.
so should I, it's 5:30
I'd
now,
like to do
should I
it
go
at
down?
9, that's that.
Okay, I'll go down. Do we have any? No, that's fine. I'll, I have a business card I can hold.
Hey, that's
Oh, no, I don't.
I think they don't have an ID badge on since I did show up.
Yeah.
We just set it up your room.
There's another group set up downstairs.
Okay. I will go and do that, and I'll.
So you know
text
Cole?
No, well, we've only met online. Hi,
Hi.
Tina. Nice to meet you in person. Me too. And this is my husband, Keith. Also my chauffeur.
Also, you are in charge of
Volunteers.
volunteers, which is.
I'm Megan.
Our vice president.
Nice to meet you. My husband, Keith. So,
And I think we decided to go without microphones because we have no idea how to use them.
oh.
Just in case,
No worries. We can project, and it's a small number. We'll be good, right? Don't you think?
I'll try to keep.
I'm comfortable without the microphone, but I usually like to pretend that I'm singing.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna be like a star,
Okay.
Without the microphone, I'm a professor. I feel the same like if I was in class, so I just.
I have 2 brothers that are professors.
Oh, really?
I get it. Yes, I get it. Yeah, I get it.
So are you from Austria?
Yeah, let me
No,
know
I'm
if I can do
originally from
anything
Louisville,
else.
Kentucky.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, but we've been here a very, very long time.
Oh, good.
I have a brother who's a PhD chemical engineer, so he is a professor at Georgia Tech. My other brother is PhD psychology at University of Kentucky.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah, so, yeah, I know about those professor types. So, do we know how many people we're expecting?
We have about 20 that are registered and paid.
There's about 20 signed up.
So I'm assuming it's gonna be around that number. Usually what tends to happen is that some people sign up and they may not show up. And those that did not sign up,
Something
they
else
sign
comes up,
Yeah.
like
So,
happy hour.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So what I did is, since I was about sitting at the room, I just
Some beers and some wine here and water here.
I don't know if you guys want to be sitting on this side or that side, so it's up to you. I mean, I was where people are able to see you, so we took the tables here from the. No, the people are just, so it's easier to just.
That sounds good. Nice. All right.
So you are in
Higher better.
better.
Yeah. Boutique talent acquisition.
Yeah, I saw the recording of the Zoom call.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a good panel because I'm on the retain side, and we've got somebody from Robert Half, which is contingent. I do more like directors to C-suite, so I do a lot of CMOs. And then we've got somebody from GSD&M, so so I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
So
I was reading your bio, and you did a little bit of corporate human resources also.
a little bit, 20 plus years. we don't like to talk about that.
See, because your research has over 20 years of professional progressive experience, so I just didn't know what that necessarily means.
Yeah. So I did HR for a
she's
long
been
time.
working here for her whole life.
Yes.
It's a
HR,
lifetime.
training and talent acquisition my whole lifetime. Yeah. Yeah, and I've been with HireBetter like 11 and a half years.
So when I was younger, I don't know how long ago that was, we used to call them, so now we call it talent acquisition. Okay, no, yes, just to get my name, because I'm probably gonna,
People still call us that, I understand. Yeah.
is there, so, at the time, and this was many years ago, talent acquisition companies that were now were talking about differently that
Than contingent,
correct.
yes.
And it was more like this was like the cream, and this was a little bit more on the bottom.
Had
Well,
snacks.
they could be doing entry level from more middle, and then this could be funding from board of directors to middle suite type of things. But it was a little bit more of a, let's say, of a prestige.
Yeah, and kind of white glove. Oh, okay, thank you so much, I'm here. Oh, listen, I'll let you in.
Is
Yeah,
that
so,
the case?
yeah, so retain, the projects I'm working on, I have an exclusive contract with my clients, and I'm paid throughout the process. So it's weekly huddles with them, we're like a partner with them. Contingent is,
And you do national searches and
do
candidates come from
proactive,
marketplace.
yeah, we were very
And you
proactive.
reach to people to say, you know, that you know anybody that,
Yes, contingent is you don't get paid
Correct.
until you actually make a placement. Yeah, we get paid regardless, and sometimes, you know.
do you get a bonus so I've seen some retainers in which you get paid and there is a portion of it that is contingent on the candidate lasting for a period of time.
There's a guarantee period.
Correct.
Right, yes. So for executives, the guarantee period is usually 6 months. And so, and then,
It's easy to get lost in most of them. It is, it's true.
in some cases, yeah, but we do a lot of the legwork ahead of time, because there's sometimes, assessments that are done and all of that. I mean, our
But it has a
process
different address
is
than
about
the
4 months long.
Wow.
So, yeah, so they get a lot of information, and by the time that, you know, they're ready to make that offer, both parties are like,
Run a
this is
retention
it.
department
So,
and it
yeah,
helps us with it.
so it is, it's really fun, I enjoy it, and we're industry agnostic, so I get to learn about a lot of different industries, but it's really fun. Cause I spent 16 years part of our better in the video game industry,
Originally, I'm
which was
from
exciting
Northern
and fun,
Virginia.
right? And those people are so
But that was
creative,
a long time
they're
ago.
so creative.
go back?
Oh, no, I went to Tennessee, Kentucky,
This
a
is
short
fun.
stint,
I get to
in
do CPG,
England.
I get to do.
And like I said, I've been in Houston for a while, but I came up here.
Consumer packaged goods. So like Rhythm Superfoods, which is the kale chip company, that's a consumer packaged goods. Yes, it's, no, not, I didn't know that was like the first position I filled in our better, is a food scientist. And I'm like, I didn't even know such a thing existed, I'm like, that's a cool position, I don't know about that in college, right? So that's what I love, is we get to learn about it.
And they're about to start.
So it's fun, it's really fun.
Would you like me to drink or?
I just have some water. Oh, hi, I'm Jean.
Abby, nice to meet you.
Oh, hi, Abby, nice to meet you. Good, this is gonna be fun.
And if we do have water.
I got thrown on meetings.
No.
No,
I think the
I'm
water's in the
excited.
coolers.
I'm like a little nervous.
I just don't know,
Oh,
we
yeah.
haven't changed this portion, but it could be anywhere, it could also be here. Yeah, I see.
Because you're okay.
Yeah.
Nope, that's beer.
Yeah.
No, it's beer, no, it's death, which is actually water.
Which is that, oh,
I don't know
okay.
if you would try it. Would you like to try it?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Sure, it's water.
Wow.
You can
I'm
get
sure,
this water. I'm
but-
sure it's
but
water.
So you just like
And
direct
it costs $5.
right? Or
Yes.
okay.
Good,
Yeah,
thank you.
exclusive retained,
Got it.
paid throughout the process,
Do you-
and I
Would you
really,
like plain water or would you like liquid death?
just plain water is great, if we have that. So I do.
Got it. Yeah, I'm definitely more interested. Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be great, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and
Well, I guess
can-
Lisa does a bit more of entry, I'm more I'm contract based, so more, a little bit in your career, but kind of wanna explore a little bit, which is
I
fun.
mean, she's company, you and I are
Yeah,
agencies,
yeah,
so.
it's gonna be cool.
I think
I'm
it's gonna be a
excited.
good mix,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
No, I like it.
Yeah.
Glass or no glass?
A bottle is perfectly fine.
It's warm.
I don't
My
care.
apologies.
No, it's fine. I just get to talking and get thirsty.
I know.
How are you?
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Can I have some water?
Did you find
So-
it okay?
Yeah.
So my name is Enrique. I'm the CFO for Austin AMA, and I'm gonna be sort of like trying to conduct the panel.
We're gonna behave, we won't get out into trouble.
Oh, no worries, I teach. I know how to get people out of
You
trouble.
teach, that's right.
And believe me,
Kept
I'm
it
in
quiet.
the shoes. Every tactic.
That's a good answer.
I was telling my students this morning that when I got my MBA, I got my MBA at University of Florida. In the organizational behavior class, I was like 21 or 22. The faculty was probably about, let's say the oldest 32, was a young kid from Yale, a PhD in management. And obviously it was like 160 of us in one of those rooms that sort of looks like a theater.
Yeah, right.
And we would get a little bit
Tears.
scattered. And we were getting scattered, he would just get his shoe and he'd just throw it to the ceiling. It was just hilarious. He would plan for this, like, come on guys, and they would see the shoes and like, okay,
Oh,
pay attention.
Calm down, shoes in the air.
Flying shoes.
No flying shoes today, please.
I haven't mastered that.
That's too funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
Yeah.
Call to attention, but
Yeah?
I have my ways.
How long have you been teaching?
I've been teaching since 2005.
Okay.
This is my fourth try at a career that has lasted the longest.
What did you do before?
My first career was with FedEx. I used to be.
Oh my, he was with FedEx for 29 years.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a
Yeah.
small world.
I was a
Wow.
financial analyst
Wow.
for they had a new division. I was hired in '84. And they had a new division called the Electronic Products Division when they thought that the fax system was going to take over the organization.
Yeah.
Zap mail.
Correct.
Yeah, oh, that's true.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
love
I
that.
was the guy that did some of the analysis, and then when about a year after I got there, we started closing that division. So I was sort of like, I don't know how you call it nowadays. Not the fire part of the firing squad. That's because we didn't really fire anybody. We moved in other
Right.
divisions. But I was part of helping in that process, and we became sort of like little CFOs. There were like 6 of us in our department, and all of us, people would come and say like, can you approve this $200? It was just, we would be out doing things that we had no idea what to do. It was very interesting. I worked with them through 92.
Wow, 84 to 92, wow, good run.
Yeah, and then I decided that I wanted to have my own business.
Okay.
So I opened a wholesale and a retail store, but I went back to my home country, which is Colombia. I was about 32, and I said, if I don't do it now, I'm never gonna.
Right.
Because I've been here since I was 16. I came to school and I served. So that one really was fun, but I didn't make any money.
Yeah, we know about that, the business ownership. Yeah, it's fun, but you don't make any money.
Where in Colombia are you originally from?
From a town or medium city called Palmira, which is about 20 miles northeast of Cali.
Okay, I've got 3 employees, 4 employees actually. 2 are in Cartagena and 2 are in Bogota.
So from Bogota is almost in the middle. It's about a 20-minute ride by plane. Don't take it in cars, about like 12 hours. It's a little bit southwest. So Colombia has the Andes. When it comes to Colombia, it's 3 chains. Cali is between those 2 on the left side, while Bogota is on the third one on the right side. So after that, I was in Colombia. I was hired by. I don't know how they call them here. I think they used to be called second floor banks. They only do commercial. They don't do any consumer. I think that's what it used to be called once upon a time. They have a different name nowadays. And they used to buy companies and sell companies. They have an M&A. They have a private equity. And I was hired to do the private equity for them.
Oh,
I
nice.
worked with them for about 13 months, and then ING Bearings at the time, which is a Dutch company, opened offices, and they needed by law to do the same thing that this Colombian company was doing. And they hired me, and I moved to Bogota, and I worked with them for about 3 years, and then they closed everything in every emerging market. So I was out of a job, and things in Colombia were going really, really bad, and I sold everything, and I moved back. And I was trying to figure out what to do.
Was that after the debacle in Singapore?
Yes, the debacle in Singapore, and then there was also Colombia had some problems. So that was the time that we were capturing Pablo Escobar, and the economy was going kaput. So I moved to Miami, where I had lived with FedEx. When part of my life in FedEx, I was an expansion advisor for Latin America, and we used to open up the offices. I moved back to Miami, and I sort of figured out that what I wanted to do was to be a little bit of a preacher. So I considered to be, because I wanted to be in public talking, whether people understand me or not, that's a different question. And then a friend of mine said, you know, you have the credentials. He was the dean of business in a community college, the largest private community college in the nation. It's like 300,000 students.
Oh my God.
In Miami, the Miami-Dade Community College. It's humongous.
Wow.
He said, you know, we need somebody to teach us statistics. You have, you know, and you think the qualifications, you know, it pays dirt. I think at the time you used to pay for every class that I taught a semester, it's like $1,200.
Oh.
I know I paid dirt.
Oh my goodness.
So he says, why don't you try it? I mean, I didn't really need the money, but so I tried it and I liked it. So I took one course one semester. I was a horrible professor, but I liked it. Because I sort of like, because I get to know a little bit more about talking to the faculty, what the lifestyle was. Well, that's what I want to do. I just sort of like a preacher, you know. Plus, I'm very good in the religion part, so.
So this was a good transition. There you
So,
go.
so my friend told me, you want to do this for a living, you cannot have the credentials you have, otherwise you're going to be, you know, an adjunct or a per course or some type of an university, or you're going to be in a community college and be basically.
Right.
So get a PhD and then go to work for a large university. So that's what I did. I got a PhD in Florida Atlantic University, which is in Boca Raton. And I got there when I was 41, and I graduated when I was 45. And before I graduated, I took a job at Texas State. So that's the only job I had. Because I needed the money. I was running out of because I was living like if I was still working. I was not still at a house, I had dogs, I had food, you know, it was very nice. But once in a while, you know, plus the real estate was growing like crazy. So in 2005, I was hired with Texas State. I left in May, so my house, the guys that bought it wanted to flip it to May. I mean, they were just, they took the sign, put their sign, and they were just flipping it for $40,000. And the day I left, which was 2 weeks after closing, the real estate market crashed.
Oh, you lucked out.
You were lucky.
You lucked out.
When you did, yeah, wow.
So that's how I ended up here. So this is my first year.
And you're with Texas, you teach at Texas State.
Correct.
Okay, cool, yeah.
How are you?
Hi.
How are you? I'm Jillian.
Enrique?
Nice to meet you.
Enrique,
Hi, I'm
nice to meet
Jean.
you.
Nice to meet you. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Abby.
We're on the panel. Hi, Jean.
Brett,
Hi, nice to meet you. Hi.
Hi, my name's Jess.
Hi, Jess. Nice to meet you.
Abby, you said it was Jean.
Jean, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do a quiz later. No, we're gonna
Oh, no, please no
And
quizzes.
Enrique.
Yeah, no quizzes.
Jean. Nice to meet you. I'm Jean.
Yeah, that's gonna be confusing, right? We'll both just answer. That'll be.
I had one of my I'm
This is
seeing
my
her
first
in Dallas
one of
tonight,
these
but
events.
I'm gonna see
Yeah, me too. When I'm a panelist. So.
All right, there you go.
No, it'll be fun. No, I'm excited to invite
So this is your first AMA event?
Yes.
Oh, how awesome!
Yeah, it's awesome.
We also
It's
have
so
every
great.
third
Yeah.
Wednesday of the
What
month.
grade are you, or
Yesterday,
what-
we have.
Okay, cool. So you're kind of thinking about next week you'll stay in Austin.
You got her at breakfast.
So it's not really, that's not how it's going in the website.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good because just for networking.
Nice.
And this we do it every third Thursday of the month, and this is more about, you may correct me at some point in time, or I may correct myself at some point in time. It's about delivering content to maintain people up to date with certain things that may go either in the market or in marketing. So once in a while we have things that are, you know, I'm gonna call it knowledge-based, that would be this type of content. So the Thursday, which is the power hour, is more about that. And before and after the power hour, you're also able to network. But the one on Wednesday is about just network. You go there, you chat, you meet people, you know. You make friends or you
I
make
work for
enemies,
Robert.
whatever, you know,
So
you have one option.
I'm sure it's friends.
So I work mainly
Yeah,
with contractors or people that want to explore
So
the contract
the
out.
topic tonight
Either
then
getting a foot in the
is
door as
like
a company
accelerating
that
user
maybe target
career
in
progression
from, like,
101.
extra.
So and you was gonna correct me because I don't know the details about it. I just teach marketing even though I've never practiced. But it's about giving some information to the audience on the diversity of modes of talent acquisition and things that you may need to know, and they're gonna give you insights, and if they like it, they're gonna
That's it. There you go. That's half of it.
Yeah, I had.
Yes.
They'll hire you.
I was in tech sales for a while.
I'm actually
I'm
at the University of Texas right now in their MSBA program. So, but I work in marketing. I work in marketing analytics. So I'm really focused on like
For me,
yeah,
it's
so
like
like
client
consumer like retention
I go to lunch with
strategy.
my clients,
I actually had a whole tip with my manager this morning about like how are we approaching it's a whole thing. Anyways, yeah. So I work in marketing analytics. For
So
new
kind of
rounds.
data science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to,
That's awesome.
It's like a
It's the Master of Science in Business Analytics.
That's super
Yes.
important. Like
That's
as
what
you're
it's
Yeah.
looking
Oh,
for
good for
internships and
you.
interviewing, like
That's
you.
very good.
I needed to hear this because it's been a tough week. It's been a tough week.
Oh, we all have those. We
Yeah.
all have those. No, that's good. Good for you for going for the masters.
Is that master degree? The
Yeah.
content of the master degree
But yeah, it's the people.
technical? As in they get you to do a lot of the behind the scenes
Yeah, very
programming.
collaborative.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I'll
it's fairly
work with a
technical right
client that
now.
might need
So,
someone in a different city.
my
So
first
I'm
semester,
What was your
constantly
major
talking to
before?
people in my company,
I studied
and then I have a
information
recruiter
systems
that
and
sits
marketing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Great
because-
combination.
Because if you
Yeah.
don't have someone that's gonna say,
Oftentimes talking
you know how it is in a computer science kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny
Yeah.
because like so when I first started off my career.
Hey, there she is. Hello.
Should be like
How are you? Enrique. Yes. Lisa, pleasure.
Hi.
My name is Brett.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to see you in person.
Years ago,
Your
you
podcast.
did the on, that's
Yeah,
right, I
it was all
know.
virtual.
Yeah.
It's good to meet you in person.
You changed a lot, like you were in
Mhm.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
I love it. It's a great
I did
organization.
undergrad in fully
Awesome, how fun, yeah, nice to meet you in person.
I know. It's
Yeah.
nice to meet you in person. And our other panelist is over there.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, hi,
I went to
Lisa,
school in
hi.
English. I went to Purdue for my undergrad.
Let's see, I will
Then I
rush
moved to
through.
Florida.
So out the door to the left and then to the right.
Got
Okay,
two
left,
universities in
right.
Florida.
Nice.
One at University of Florida, the other one at
And I was going to bring Gloria swag and I forgot. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had really good swag.
I'll let you pass. I'll give you a slide.
I just thought about that. I'm like, oh man, I had bags of it. I forgot to bring it.
I'm just gonna
I know, it's
try
funny,
out
we just got all of our new swag out of my job, so my
So it
keys is
doesn't matter
just full
what
of boxes
happens
right
to
now.
what happens.
I know, right?
We give it away.
They send it to us and we, you know, and I had none for a while and now I have a whole lot and I forgot to bring it. Sorry.
That's okay.
Marketing morning coffee and so what are the next one? The next one is He's a technician.
very wonderful.
Yeah.
I actually went to college in
America,
and I worked a little bit in New York City.
Okay. And that's
I went back to Korea.
the hardest but just so they wouldn't see it.
yeah.
So pretty recent. Settle here and try to get back.
And Austin's very different from New York.
Yeah, very different. I was having a very hard time to park exam too.
So how long do you have to
all the way.
No wonder.
That's why I was like sweating.
Yeah, no wonder. Well, navigating Austin is not easy downtown anyway, so you're,
It
yeah.
makes you feel better, I missed the turn twice. So I looped around like 2 times to get through.
You from here?
I'm from Dallas, so I'm from Alice.
Oh yeah. My mom's from Plano.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it always is, right? There's always, we can always make connections somehow. I was with a Korean company for 6 years, NCSoft.
NCSoft. That is that's a gaming company.
It is, I was in gaming for 16 years, so.
That's huge in Korea.
Oh, yeah,
So I do
yeah.
marketing.
I never made it
Yeah, I
there.
work at
I was supposed to go, and I had
appliance
to
software
have
and
surgery, so I never got to go, but, you know, a bunch of my coworkers did. But, no, just for her. I never made it. Yeah, I was with them for over 6 years.
I thought I was on live
Yes. Well, I think it's still here. Yeah, it is. They still have liquor. I mean, we.
So are you, when you read?
Yeah, I was part of the Austin year. It's been 11 and a half years since I was there. So I'm not sure. I think they're still here though. So, yeah. And then we have a location in Seattle. So I used to travel to Seattle.
Yeah, getting early start, especially
Oh my gosh, we went to my nephew's football game. High school game. And he was playing in the country. He played and then that was huge. I was like, oh, something else. So it's really exciting. And then we've got Tuscan's job. But hearing them talk about it, so it's good. I found that easy what I've always done with resources and
that's why this whole process, even though it's good,
yeah.
my first trip, you're
That's awesome. We need them, so that's good.
that's what
Where's he thinking about? I live northwest, so Fort Hood is like it's my direction. Yeah, that's awesome.
He first stationed in that's why I'm trying to get a job. And it's just
Well, you know.
actually we thought it was going to be easy for So I went to college for marketing, so actually
Where?
events are kind of my game.
Oh my goodness. What school did you go to?
I stayed in University.
I went to UL. My brother is a professor at the University of Kentucky. Oh my gosh. I see them telling you there's always conditions. No, not right now. I'm I mean, we've lived here for a long time, but we still go home. I still home, my brother who's right there, and all my cousins and all, but that is too gosh. Very different.
Yeah, very different. So that's my first internship. And my second year, where it was president of the entire high school. So he runs the
My niece perfect.
it was like 13 hours. You have to go
How long were you there?
for like a year.
What an experience. Oh my gosh, I've had New York, Texas, oh my gosh. You have made the round. You know what's very diverse states. She she's happy, but no, he's a white boy. He is a white boy. Like, oh, you forgot your mom is so, but no, he's a big white boy. Yeah, but he's a sweetheart. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know, right? She keeps going, little bit, okay, his mother, yeah, their mom is her mom, and her mom, so she visits all the time. She's like, white boy, white boy.
That's all I think too.
Yeah, it's interesting because our daughter-in-law, she's more and I saw this vacation. Yeah, but you look at her mother, you go, she's smiling. They start speaking Spanish to her. She's like, not Spanish, not Spanish. From Korea. Yeah.
No, I'm not like that.
That's why I think
Our Korean counterparts, they would come to a lot of US locations, and so they would want to and so they would all keep your name, like be proud, keep your name, but no. They would all take like another
When I first got there, I had to I do, so they were having a hard time to pronounce my name. My English wasn't good enough to like teach them how to say it. They saw one professor told me for a month, so like I figured out English name about it. Red velvet. What's the return? I feel like it's my name is Tia, and I just want G with a lot of
We used to have to hire interpreters until so yeah, I mean I was in resources I'm good talking to you. Yeah, I'm like J.
My phone here, I'm gonna go to stop. It's 6:06, so we're gonna go ahead and get started pretty soon. So we'll go ahead and
Did y'all take the stands?
Alright, come on, let's do Anywhere, you can apply for the chairs, we do
Oh, yeah.
of course, that's why it's like the students you're gonna apply for the chairs.
Somebody
So
else
we
is
feel
there,
that we
I
have
will.
faith.
I like that.
Yeah, for like right
Your marketing department, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, I used to be in the
Yes, exactly.
Never this one, but there's actually one at 7 p.m. That's right over there. And 7 to 9.
This is just like at school, right? Nobody wants to sit beside
Oh
but that's what I think is this semester, there are 250, but they tend to be like the first like marks, between 100.
Yeah, because
I feel like y'all should all come up closer.
I know, right?
Come,
And everybody got really quiet.
Front row, everything, come up close.
Oh, good for you.
No, no, no,
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice job. Look at that.
cozy friends.
So you got some friends now. You're not the only one in the front.
So can everybody hear us okay? If you're not able to hear us, there's more seats up front, you know, so thank you for coming. This is wonderful, great audience, size-wise. I'm pretty excited. This is our career progression 101. Austin AMA, so I'm gonna plug it in again. The Austin American Marketing Association. If you have not become a member, please attend our Wednesday mornings, and that was it. It's a great place, great networking. So I have the great pleasure to be the moderator. I'm gonna say the professor for this evening. My name is Enrique, and I have a pretty thick southern accent. So if you don't get it, I'll try to spell it. I'm not very good at the spelling either, so, but we'll get this. So I do apologize for my thick southern accent. I'm probably gonna butcher this lady's fantastically looking lady's name, but they're gonna forgive me. So we have three extremely experienced individuals in the talent acquisition area in the panel. So I'm going to introduce them by alphabetical order, so I'm a little bit inappropriate. Square, I think that's the right so we have Jean Orison. Okay, awesome. I got one right, so two more to go. So Jean has over 20 years of experience in doing talent acquisition, and she works now for Hire Better. She's been in human resources, not only doing talent acquisition, she's also worked for corporations. She has sourced and placed top talent not only at the middle level but also at the C-suite, so she's able to find people at board of directors, CMOs, great experience. A former human resource executive for a rapidly growing domestic and international organization, and now working for Hire Better, which is able to put all that knowledge into work. And I believe that, I don't know if you want to see this on the side, she also helps individuals to get their career progression. So, she's a great contact to have. Next, is it the D before the W? Yes, I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong, is Abby Bernacchia?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome!
Good
I'm in practice, just I'm sweating. Wow. So Abby is the practice director of marketing and creative at Robert Half. Abby does talent acquisition for marketing, creative, contract talents in Austin. In this role, that she enjoys tremendously, and I remember that I read something about Link, which is your golden.
Yeah.
And you guys notice that I'm making things up, not reading textually. So I believe that what I understood is that you showed me. So in addition to her experience at Robert Half doing talent acquisition, she also has experience with showrooms, which is awesome.
Or he's featured on my LinkedIn.
Oh, she's featured on
LinkedIn? I give
LinkedIn?
feature advice about work and talent and job search with my company.
Oh, awesome. That is very nice. So, and then we have Lisa Wickham.
Wickham is correct. Hello.
Awesome. 3 out of 3.
Yeah.
She's the director of talent acquisition at GSD&M. Before she worked for GSD&M, she also used to work with Robert Half doing talent acquisition. She has a tremendous amount of experience. So she hires in-house part of the human resources. Used to live in New York.
Yeah, New York, San Francisco, Korea, yeah.
So has great experience. She's gonna tell us a little bit that in the panel. They're all gonna share some of the stories and some of their know-how. So I'm gonna just ask our audience if any of you have worked for a talent acquisition, or there's some of you that are working for a talent acquisition. So just raise your hands. Anybody working in the talent acquisition? Now for the rest of the audience, thank you so much. For the rest of the audience, anybody here thinking in the short term to looking for a career change or to get a new job or looking for opportunities?
We'll keep it confidential in the room. Yeah, right. Yeah. We won't talk about it.
Well, thank you so much. That's great. So before we start into the deep, interesting questions, I'd like to ask Anna to tell us a little bit about where would they start? What would they have to do to get their career into gears?
Yeah, I guess one quick show of hands. How many are more that student within either entry level or first 3 years work? I'm curious. Okay, so a good mix there. How many are more mid-level, that 5 years plus experience? Yep. And then any senior level folks, kind of senior mid-level? Okay, we have a good mix. Okay. So then to Enrique's question, how would they get their start? I think it's almost 3 different answers depending on that. And so for the early folks in the room, it's definitely getting those internships. It's going to be critical, right? So while you're still in school, joining the different marketing clubs, being a part of things like this, networking for sure. But the more people you know, getting connection internships can be hard to get. So really try to get at least a minimum of 1 internship under your belt before you graduate. Abby can really speak really well to the 2+ years when Robert Half kind of kicks it. She'll get into probably more of the specifics of knowing what you want, because by then you're starting to get into your career and having a passion for a certain career track can help, right? Those kind of things. and then Jean on the more senior mid-level side for those folks, kind of what that looks like. But yeah, kind of, I'll probably speak a little just to the entry level, what was touching on, and let them focus on more mid and senior. But yeah, that would be my best advice. Later we'll talk about resumes and things like that, but just making sure the early entry level folks, your LinkedIn profile is really out there too. People forget about LinkedIn. It's your digital resume, right? For those students even, you know, get that going, mirror match it to your resume, those kind of things. So,
Yeah, I was gonna take a step back and say, you're all marketing professionals, right? So your resume and your LinkedIn profile, that's your marketing materials, right? So that's your collateral. So when I'm looking at folks that are coming from a marketing background, I expect those to be spot on, right? Because that's your work samples, right? So make sure the resume and the work sample are top notch, right? And there's lots of resources online to look at, and if you need help with a professional writer, I have business cards, I'll be happy to hook you up with a professional writer, but those are really important. I'll tell you, if I look at one, like somebody sends me their resume, first thing I do is go look at LinkedIn. If I get the LinkedIn first, I go look for the resume. So they've got to be really tight. They've got to share the same information, no mistakes, same dates and all that. Yeah.
Just really quickly, like I'm sure you scan a ton of LinkedIn profiles.
Yeah.
What are you looking for, and like what are red flags? What are you just like, nope, you know? Is there
I'll speak that accomplishments. I don't care if it's marketing, accounting and finance, HR, accomplishments, right? Past performance is a wonderful indicator of future performance. So I want to see, been there, done that, right? And I'm going to be tailoring it to what, and we should probably talk about the difference retained versus contingent. But so when I'm looking at specifically what my client is looking for, I'm going to be going down, oh, okay, you've done this. Great, that's what they're looking for somebody to do. So again, regardless of profession, accomplishments, your LinkedIn, your resume, all about accomplishments.
And I think to echo that, a lot of what we do here at Robert Half when we're talking to candidates that are looking for new opportunities are those ROIs either on your LinkedIn or on a resume, right? Percentages, increase in click rates, right? Market yourself with the numbers. A lot of our clients want to see how have you saved a previous company time, money energy, whatever they may be. So really highlight those increase in views. Did you save the company money? Did you, increase MQLs through your marketing campaign, whatever that may be? Make sure those numbers are clear and apparent on your resume that recruiters can easily see and brag about you to the folks they're working with.
Quantify those accomplishments in any way you can.
Yeah. And for those folks earlier in their careers who may say, how do I get that percentage? You can ask your analytics team very candidly, how did that campaign perform?
Right.
And share that kind of knowledge with you, right? So make sure, because I think early on people don't think to note those accomplishments, but as you get further up in your career, the more quantifiable metrics are really going to help you out.
I also think any praise you get, any shout out you get, anything, put that in an email folder if y'all are getting those, and save those and pull those. Oftentimes a recruiter could be, hey, like, when was a time where you got a shout out from a company who did a great job? Like, make sure you're bookmarking all those shout outs that you can use as leverage when you're having those conversations and looking for a new opportunity.
I got that advice early on. Even myself in my email, I've been add a girl folder. That's what I call it. Right? So every time someone sends me, oh, Lisa, that was the best. Like, have you ever? Whoop, there it goes.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah.
That is great. And for the audience's purposes, and also for my purpose, because one of my jobs as a professor is also to help students to be able to get jobs. What are the different types of talent acquisition agencies?
So I think that's a really good. We were talking, the three of us were talking about it, and kind of really, this just really fits well our experience. So I'll just start. So the two main ones is it's going to be contingent, which is really what you can speak to, and retained, which is what I can speak to. So contingent, it's agencies don't get paid unless they make a placement. Typically, is the way it is. So it's high volume, right? We're on the retained side. I actually have an exclusive contract with my client, and it's very specific. I'll spend an hour and a half doing an intake call, so I know everything about the company, the culture, the team, what they're looking for, why the positions are. So I've got a ton of information, but it will take me 3 to 6 months to fill a role. And the roles that, again, charge a lot of money to do this, so I'm typically doing director to C-suite, and a lot on the C-suite side, so CMOs and that kind of thing. So that's retained, and that's where my background is, other than being corporate HR for a long time. 16 years in the video game industry, which people always think is kind of fun, but I'm not a gamer. Don't start asking me about not a gamer, HR. But anyway, then you can talk more about the contingent side.
Yeah. So the contingent side is more so we look for talent and then we will show our clients the talent that we have. There's kind of 2 different branches of that. There's the contract side and then there's also the direct hire side. Direct hire is a bit similar in the sense where we have a longer intake process. We're getting the team structure. We're talking about salary, benefits, all the information we need to make that direct hire for it to be successful for years to come. But the client doesn't pay anything until you're placed in the seat and working. So there is a lot of motivation for our recruiters to find really strong talent to stay in that seat, but also to build that relationship with our client and to make it work for both parties. On the contract side, I think is also really great for folks that are 2+ years in a career, where it's a little bit of shorter term. Oftentimes we're filling roles in a couple days. On the direct hire side, we try to fill roles within a week or 2, depending on the skill set. So much faster turnaround process, and we work really quickly. But the contract side is great in the sense that you can pick up some freelance hours, right? Like if you want to do some copywriting for different agencies in Austin, like you have the option to do that and balance some different freelance part-time work. Or there's contracts that are full-time. We have plenty of candidates that like to do full-time roles for a year, and then like, hey, I'm done with that, I want to go work in the tech space, or I want to go back to an agency. So there's a couple different options there when it comes to working with a company like Robert Half that does that contingent search, and you're able to just kind of have a couple different options, or do contract while they're running a full-time search for you. Who knows? There's lots of options there.
Yeah,
And then how does the corporate side differ from the contingent?
Yeah, so my background, so worked in advertising about 13 years, account management side, pivoted into the staffing world. So I started off at Robert Half, world's oldest and largest staffing firm. So kind of cut my teeth there, did what Abby's talking about, direct. When we say direct, they're hiring a permanent candidate placement. So that's what I did at Robert Half. There's a sales side to it, reach out, hey, marketing company XYZ, I see you're looking for a marketing specialist. I'd love to fill that role for you. I've got great candidates. And then equally wearing a 50% recruiter hat, talking to candidates, getting to know their backgrounds, trying to like job match in that way. So I will say, when Abby talked about the 2+ years experience working with a staffing agency, why would a client hire a staffing agency? They can't fill the role themselves. They want to see a bigger pool of talent. They'll pay a fee for those things. There's no fee to you as the candidate.
And don't ever pay a fee.
Yeah, there won't be a fee for that. Now for me, I work with entry level all the way up to executive level for GSD&M. So staffing, entry level, I'm never going to hire a staffing agency for entry level because we can fill those roles ourselves 0 to 2 years. They're pretty easily, right? But then the 2+ years up is when we'll engage for certain outside, sometimes we say headhunters, staffing agencies to help out in that way. So for me, entry level roles can be, my gosh, I'm just going to give you all a statistic. We have summer interns, we had 12 summer internship roles, and we had, my gosh, 2,000 candidates apply for 12 spots, right? So it's very competitive. That's more where it's just folks who want to break into the advertising, getting into that. That's why getting an internship is critical for the students. To have that on their belt, and then kind of going from there. So a little bit different, yeah.
And when you are doing this process of looking at the different potential candidates, what are the things that you're looking for in a resume? What should a resume have?
I'll jump in. So resumes, and you all may disagree, but resumes should not be more than 2 pages long. Like, 3 pages, you're going way back too far, right? I'm more interested in your recent and most relevant to what I'm looking for experience. And if you have more experience and it's going to go on a 3rd, you can summarize that bottom of that 2nd page, right? Prior experience. So I like 2 pages. And again, I like them tailored to what you're applying for. So I always suggest you get a really strong core resume and then modify it as you're looking at that position description. I don't know if you all agree, but people don't use the position description to their advantage, right? Look at that, and when you're going, oh, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that, tell me that, right? Reorder those bullets on that resume. Help me, right? The more you make an effort to help me, the easier it is for me to see your value, and the easier it is for me to move you through my process, right? And my process is very long. Retain, we write a candidate profile on you. It goes into your career progression. It goes into, you know, how you meet the core competencies. So I'm investing a lot of time in you to write that candidate profile. So help me, work with me, right? Look at that job description and help me see why you're just an amazing candidate for it. So keep it to 2 pages, be concise, lots of nice white space. Don't fill it up and I can't read it and it's confusing, right? LinkedIn, again, same, you've got more space on LinkedIn, so if you want to put more information there, that's great. And then work samples. Even CMO, we like to see work samples.
At what point have you ever had a resume to where you're like, okay, this person is clearly pandering to or basically just repeating the job description? Like, where's the line for you? And is it ever a problem? Like, I get that, like, to get through ATS, you know, to be relevant, like, it makes sense to tailor your resume to the job description, but, you know, so you do that for each application, but then it's like, you know, you have a boilerplate and you have your LinkedIn as well. Like, at what point does it get, like, pandery? Like, is there a line that you
Well, I would say when we write our position descriptions, we will emphasize things that are really important by saying it a couple different ways. And so those are clues, right? Mm-hmm. So drill into those clues. Real quick example, right? Like I may say, you know, has to have really strong interpersonal skills, right? And then somewhere else in that, I say something about being collaborative and a team player, right? So that's a clue. Either we have a really smooth running team and they're just clicking and I don't want to muck that up, somebody else coming in, or it's a mess. It's a hot mess and I need somebody to come in who's going to be really collaborative and do all that. So look at and that's a really quick example, but look for those clues, right? And like, oh, if you see something repeated, like, okay, that sounds like that's something relevant, so I'm going to make sure that that's one of my bullets, right? And maybe if you whatever the experience is, if it's multiple jobs, get it in those bullets, right? Because that's what I'm doing. I spend a lot of time going, okay, great, they have this, yes, they have that, you know. And again, a little bit different, I'm being paid throughout the process. So that client is on me, right? Like, it's been a week, where are all the candidates? It's been a month, you know. So they're paying a lot of money throughout this entire process, so it's gotta be sharp and crisp, and I gotta be able to speak about you to my client. So I'm gonna ask you a ton of questions, and if I don't think, if my bullshit meter goes off, sorry, I'm gonna go, I think you pulled that from the job description. Give me an example where you've actually done that. Give me a work sample.
Yeah, to tailor that question about mirror matching to the job. So not a copy paste of the job description, we can see that, it's our own language. But it's more like you need online video experience. Online video experience with XYZ client. Produced 12 spots over X. You know what I mean? There's a specificity to it that ties back to how you have that experience. So,
and those work samples are good.
So,
that kind of thing.
When you say work samples, even for the C-suite, can you elaborate on that? What do you mean by C-suite?
It depends on what they're looking for, right? So if they're looking for, they're really lacking in content and they're looking for a CMO that's a strong writer and that maybe isn't writing content now but has written content in the past and can really align with the C-suite and understand, okay, this is how we're going to sell our company. I may say something, I know you haven't done it in a long time, but show me some of your content. What have you written, you know, back in your day, that kind of thing. So it kind of depends on what they're looking for. And C-suite, again, I'm not expecting them to write the content, but if that's a real gap within the organization, I'm gonna drill into that. And you know, it's interesting, C-suite, our CMOs, a lot of them love to brag about, like, here, like, I have a lot of broad experience, so, you know, I did desktop publishing or graphic design when I first started out, you know, and really it's nice because it does show to me they've been there, that they've done it all. They're kind of a generalist, and they've risen now into a leadership role. So they're managing not just the function, but the people. And at the C-suite, that's what we need, the function and the people. Does that help? Does it answer?
No, that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
For those more portfolio type examples for like a director of brand role, maybe not at the CMO level, but below, are you looking for it in a deck, on a website, in a
Digital.
like digital?
And I can speak a bit more to that. I know what we do is with all of our more creative roles, where portfolios are relevant and having website examples or past work samples, having a really clean online portfolio is essential. Oftentimes our clients won't even look at a resume. They'll go straight, I just want to see their portfolio. I want you to pull samples. On the flip side, our team will go to your portfolio first and look for relevance. So if you're applying for a SaaS-based job, make sure your samples on your portfolio are clear that you've had experience in that, or something very neighboring close to. But I think always updating your portfolios, making sure the samples are relevant. I think kind of like a resume, keep it
Right.
3 to 2 years, right, in relevancy. I wouldn't be putting things necessarily from like 5 years in the past, unless it's like a piece of work you're super, super proud of and can speak
Wonder
really
Award
highly
or something.
Yeah, but I think a clean portfolio, and then as you're talking to recruiters, being able to reference that and be like, hey, I think in interviews, share your screen if it's virtual and pull up your portfolio. Talk about projects you're passionate about, or a project that saved a company millions of dollars, whatever it may be. Managers love to see you get in there with your work and show them your portfolio and what you're proud of and what you've accomplished.
Yeah, it's getting more and more that those work samples are really critical, even that 2+ year stage, or honestly even interns, plus internships for me, the new hires. So I'll say a social media manager I'm hiring, let's say. I'm gonna say, maybe they don't have a portfolio link yet. There are free ones out there, Wixsite, things like that. But you can, I say at a minimum, I want a 2-page PDF of some of those Instagram posts or things like that you've done in your internship. That's my bare minimum for a social media manager. If they can't show me those, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't get those from those companies. So when you're doing your internship, ask what doesn't have an NDA, what can I say, what can I use? Pull it yourself, screenshot it, right? And then some things will have NDA or confidentiality you can't share. I always say in an interview, if I've had to, let's go on camera, watermark it across it, but I wanna see it, I wanna see something. I'm not gonna share a link, I'm not gonna say, but I've seen that, or you can pull something up sometimes in person on a computer where no one else can grab it, like in a real-time environment, maybe with the client, so.
And I think some people maybe newer that maybe have done some passion projects, or I think if you're graduating from university and have samples from a class, I still think those are relevant if you're under 2 years.
For sure.
I even think if you're at 2 years and maybe you do some freelance on the side and it's not a big name, it's a mom and pop shop, I still think that could be relevant. If you're really passionate about it, I still think having maybe just a tiny bit of that, because I think a lot of creatives and managers like to see things outside of corporate or agency. Like, what do you like to do for fun? You know, do you like to create graphics even though you're mainly doing more digital campaign work, right? I think sharing some of that too to bring your personality to your portfolio.
Passion is important.
Yeah.
Right, we want to hear that you're excited about what you're doing in the company. So do your research on the company too, right? So, because that passion really comes through.
Yeah. I think going back to Enrique's original question too is, what do you look for in a resume? When Jean was talking about the resume and the LinkedIn have to fit, don't make me go search for your LinkedIn. Don't make me load 10 people down to be like, that's the 10th Jean Orson, which one is her? Like, put it on your resume, right up at the top with your contact information. You put your city, your phone, not your full address ever for the young folks for privacy, only the city or open to remote, your email, your phone number, and your LinkedIn profile. And if you're a creative or has a portfolio, the fourth thing would be the portfolio link, right? So LinkedIn too, you can customize, personalize it, you can Google how to do it, but there's a section, so right now it's usually an alphanumeric string of letters, after name, you can put just your first name, last name, or Lisa Wickham 1 or whatever, right? So make sure that link is there, that a recruiter can find it easily, because we will look at your LinkedIn, we're gonna look at both of those things. And then,
that just also with emails, like, you wouldn't believe some of the email addresses. I'm like, I really don't want to know, like, badgirldrunkalldetime.com, you know, like really, like if you gotta go make like a Gmail that's your professional email, do it, right? And don't make it complicated. Mine is easy, gnorson at gmail.com, super easy, right? But these email addresses are just go on and they're like, be professional, right? Keep it concise, go get a Gmail that's just for work and make it professional, right? And put it on LinkedIn too. You know, especially when you're looking for a job, again, make it easy for me. Oh, there's their email address. Great, I'm gonna reach out to them outside of LinkedIn. So, you know, while you're searching for a job, I would put it on there.
Echoing Gmail, even for those students you're currently using your UT or your Texas State addresses, I wouldn't be on graduation. I know you can still have email access for up to, switch it over to the Gmail. Just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and start using the Gmail to do that. Because it dates you as a student, right? 2 years later, you're still using that school address.
Yeah,
so.
good point.
And if I were looking for a career change, what should be the metrics that I should pay attention to for personal growth that I'm able to just build up?
Career changes are so difficult for recruiters to answer that question. I'll tell you very candidly.
Well, that's what I'm going from. I'm going from student to real life. I call that kind of a career change.
Oh, for sure. No, what I mean by that is what do companies want? They want you to have pretty much that job description experience. They want you to hit the ground running, and you already know online videos, you already know social media, you know these things. So in the ideal world, when we hear a candidate that checks 4 of our 6 boxes, we're like, bingo. So career transitions are not impossible, but tougher. In my advertising agency department, it's very hard for me to hire a career transition pivot. I'll just say that. Now, did I myself career transition pivot? I absolutely did. How did I do that? If you go to my LinkedIn, you want to connect with me, one of the stories I wrote about myself is how I career transitioned from 13 years in the advertising agency account management world to a stay-at-home parent for 5 years, to then getting into the workforce in my mid-40s to go into staffing, right? So I literally wrote an article about how I personally did that, which is talk to people doing the role that you want to transition into. I don't want to be a social media manager anymore. I want to be an analytics specialist. Go up 10 people on LinkedIn. Maybe one will get back to you. Can I have 20 minutes of your time over an informational call? What do you do in your day-to-day? Let me hear about your job. What do you love about your job? What do you hate about your job? You know, send them a $5 Starbucks card after as a thank you, right? Like online. So hit people up. Don't be offended if they don't get back to you on LinkedIn, but someone will. Someone will give you an informational call, right, to hear about that. I do it all the time, at least a couple times a week, informational calls, right? And then career pivot transition, you can also find a career coach or things like that. There are those types of resources depending on what level. If you're more mid-senior, you can get really specific advice from a career coach on how to do that better. But
what about agency to brand or brand to agency?
Yes.
It's not a career necessarily pivot, but it is different. Right.
It is harder as you get further in your career, I'm not gonna lie, to go from agency world, mid-agency to brand marketing, depending on the type of knowledge you gained along the way and can speak to that. How agencies work is so specific, right? That one channel, that one function, and then marketing being broader. So similarly, the reverse of that for marketing folks to go into advertising, you almost have to do it, I'd say by 5-6 years into your career, you have to pivot back, if that makes sense, right, into the advertising versus, so yeah, so it's rare, like I had in-house marketing roles at Robert Half, so 60% of my clients were ad agencies, 40% in-house marketing role. So I once hired an ad agency person with 10 years experience to be a brand marketing manager, right, it's just tougher, yeah, so. Not to be negative, is that no? It's all depressing, like she's the depressing one.
No.
Keep going, yeah.
And I would say,
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I made a pivot in my career too, 11 and a half years ago. So, you know, I was over domestic and international human resources department, 16 of it in a video game industry, right? And to be honest, I got tired of laying people off. The video game industry is pretty immature and they're always laying people off. I got tired of doing that. It's hard on your soul. So when I wanted to pivot out of human resources, I was like, well, what am I going to do? And so I just kind of took a step back and really thought about what is it I love, right? What am I passionate about? And the core is helping people, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, I've always been in talent acquisition, and I've always done coaching, right? I'm coaching managers on how to manage their people and all this kind of thing. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna pull out those two things that I'm passionate about, and I'm gonna go find a job that allows me to do that, right? And so I found Hire Better. I'm like, first out of the gate, I found Hire Better, which is exactly what I'm doing, right? And it allows me to help people, and it's the talent acquisition. And then, to your point, I do have a private practice that I do job search and interview coaching. So I'm getting to do that coaching. And so I coach a lot of people who are doing career progression. And I think the key is figure out what you really love, and then find a career that allows you to do that, and then sell it, right? Like when I went to Hire Better, like they're like, you're not HR, we're not HR. And I'm like, oh no, but in HR I did this, right? I did all this talent acquisition and entry level to C-suite and all. And then they're like, oh, okay, right? You gotta do the legwork, right? You gotta help us see that those skills are transferable. So that would be any kind of career transition like that. You gotta help us see that you have those transferable.
With my own career transition, right, I looked at all these recruiter job descriptions. What do they want in a recruiter? Oh, they want someone who's hired this, that. Well, and when I was an account manager, I had maybe a team of 5 below me. I hired those 5 people, right? They were on my team. So I pulled out what could possibly be relevant as a recruiter. So that helps.
And I think to echo that, doing that I think is awesome, but also if you're looking to switch careers, read job descriptions and see, oh, that sounds fun, oh, I don't want to do that. And I think you'll notice patterns of, oh, I don't want to manage people, but oh, I'd love to make graphics, etc. I also think the internet's at our fingertips, right? So if you want to switch to the digital side, go take some certification classes, right? Take certifications that will make you more marketable, even if you're entry level. You know, you with an SEO certificate or whatever that may be is going to be more competitive entry level than someone that maybe is fresh out of college that took a class in it. So take those certifications. I think LinkedIn Learning is awesome. Or ask your current company. Like, I don't know, maybe they have a digital department and you're like, hey, and maybe if you can't move internally, be like, hey, I'd love to maybe, do you guys do certifications? Like, curious about what that could look like, and ask around.
So what are the suggestions that you have for networking and getting to know some of the people in the field or the field that you may like to just move?
LinkedIn is like, I can't imagine life without LinkedIn, truthfully. So LinkedIn, right? You know, look up the company, look at the people who are working at that company that maybe are in the position you're applying for. Reach out to them. Like you said, they may not answer, they may. I used to, when I was in corporate HR, is I had a referral program. So if somebody connected with you on LinkedIn and you're like, this is a really good candidate, I could pay you $2,000 for referring that candidate. So, I mean, in some cases, people just out of the goodness of their heart want to help somebody. And then also they're like, if I refer this person, I'm going to get a little referral bonus there. So reach out to people on LinkedIn, connect with everybody, you know, ask questions, go to these, you know, events, join associations like Lisa said earlier. There's just lots and lots of ways to just start learning and you know, understanding more about the industry or the role, whatever the case may be. But just asking people, professors, you know, going back to your professors. If you're just a couple of years out of college, going back to your professor, like, hey, do you have any referrals at this company? Or, hey, do you know anything about this? You all love helping your students. I mean, that's why you do what you do, right?
We just hired 3 from professor recommendations. Literally, I told you straight up the line. I'm like, tell me some of your top one.
Right.
Here we go. Boom.
Yes.
Yeah, I've read before that a much higher number of jobs are filled through referrals and networking than actually just through applying to something. And you know, Austin in particular is a city with a lot of transplants. And even though I was raised in Houston and moved here like almost 6 years ago, I still found it a little bit difficult to get to know a lot of people. My network in Houston is much larger, and here it's very, very small. Any just advice about especially for those of us who are more new to Austin, building that network here, getting plugged in with the right folks to be able to play that side of things as opposed to just the applications?
Go ahead.
No, I think things like when Jean said like events like this, oh my God, how did I get my job at GSD&M, in talent acquisition? I was on a panel similar to this for the Advertising Federation AdFed with the former GSD&M recruiter. We got to know each other, we kept in touch. And then I saw GSD&M had the opening. I reached out to him, hey Tyler, what's going on over there? Looks like y'all are hiring. Oh Lisa, I was thinking about you for this role. I'm like, you were you? Got in, right? Whether or not he really had me top of mind, but I put myself top of mind, got in and got the job that way. So networking goes a long, long way. Our GSD&M referral program, we have the same thing as well, so either 1,000 or 2,000, depending on the level of the role. GSD&M's a little trickier. Sometimes maybe out of 100 people, might be 10 that I will actually hire from the referral, but still that's 10%, right, in that way. For me, GSD&M direct applicants, we get a lot of them, maybe 1 in 6, at a mid-level up, maybe 1 in 60 will actually be a fit that I need, right, so a lot of resumes. And then we use a tool called LinkedIn RPS, so it's the professional tool that we pay for as recruiters on LinkedIn. So what we do is we scan passive candidates who may not be out there looking at Indeed, LinkedIn jobs, that kind of thing. Reach out, nudge, nudge. I would say never burn a bridge with a recruiter who pings you for messages like that. I would say right back and say, not interested at this time, maybe in the future, because you just never know. Even a quick little, I love my job right now, but thanks for reaching out, right? Or maybe I know someone, I'm not right for this marketing director role, but maybe I'll ask my friend and then make that connection that way. So a little bit goes a lot way with that.
I also think partnering with an agency. Oftentimes we know hiring managers and we know about jobs that are posted before they even hit the LinkedIns and the Indeeds of the world. Granted, there will be times where you reach out and we're like, we don't have anything for you, but that doesn't mean literally a couple hours later we won't get a phone call saying, hey, we need exactly who you are. And I think not just Robert Half, I think all of them, right? Like talk to the Insight Globals of the world, talk to Better Hire and all the different
Corn Fair,
all of them, right? And so expand your network with the recruiters because we have a lot of boots on the ground, not just in Austin, but nationally.
Yeah.
At least I can speak that way about Robert Half. And maybe there's not a role here in Austin, but if you're open to remote, I mean, there's hundreds of roles we're bringing in every day that you could be the fit for, and all our recruiters talk to each other. So that's a huge network, as well as databases these companies have. The minute you're in our system, anytime jobs get entered into our system, there's code words we use that we pull from your resume when we talk to you and we enter you in our system that will flag you for different roles nationwide. So that's a huge network right there to benefit.
And again, at no cost to you, I always say, if someone say, so-and-so, my friend is looking for a job, say, here are the 3 top staffing agencies I have to recommend. Robert Half is always one, right? So then go talk to the recruiters. It can't hurt in that way, but it could help you. At least you get insights about a company. Recruiters, we know things, we hear things. Whether we're internal like myself or external, we know things about the company, right? So.
Yeah, we have what we refer to as our virtual bench, right? So somebody will reach out to me and just say, hey, here's my resume, I don't know if you have any openings or whatever. And typically I try to do a 15-minute call and I really drill down on what you're looking for, right? Like, what are you passionate about? We'll also talk about compensation, right? Because I don't want to waste your time and share an opportunity that's below what you're looking for. So we have a big virtual bench, and the same thing. When we open a requisition in our ATS, our applicant tracking system, it auto-populates and says, here's everybody already in your database that might be a match for this, right? And if it's not me, my coworker Lisa will go, oh, it looks like you talked to Jean on this day, right? So just, it's a great way to do it, and resumes are not shared without your permission, so don't be concerned that like we're gonna do a spray and pray out to all these companies that, the reputable firms don't do that. So helpful?
It was for Lisa. You mentioned like the compliments folder.
The added girl.
Yeah. Did you? Did you work with Jenny Bushhorn?
I know she's Texas State professor. I like some of her referrals to me. So
yeah. Well, I just graduated because she mentioned that's what she was teaching us for a class.
Oh, to do that as well. Yeah. No, someone had told me that before as a career tip. So yeah, sounds like it's a good tip that's going around. So yeah, Jenny's wonderful.
Yeah. Or Jean Brennick too.
I don't know Jean. But
it was a lot. But they told me like a lot about GSD&M, so and they mentioned like the compliment folder side.
Those compliments can also be referrals on LinkedIn. And here's something I always suggest to my coaching clients. If you want somebody to write a referral on you, you're asking them to give you some of your time, and you may want them to speak about a specific experience or skill you have. You can always still write it. You can say, I know you're really busy, and so I kind of wrote this for you because I really appreciate you helping me, so please feel free to edit or whatever. 99.9% you're gonna get what you wrote right back, right? But it doesn't matter. That person, that may have complimented you on something is then getting a referral. You're getting a referral from them and get it up on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
Because we have clients that they'll go to the LinkedIn and they're like, nobody referred them, we don't wanna talk to them. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's a little narrow-minded, but so those referrals on LinkedIn.
Do y'all know how to
people look at
do
them.
that? It's LinkedIn recommendations, right? You can ping someone, to ask someone first, right, one-to-one, would you mind
Yeah.
reminding me on this? And then also what you want them to talk, someone just did it for me, can you give me a LinkedIn recommendation? So what are the top 3 things you want me to talk about in your particular, what are you going for next? So tell me, I'll tailor my reco to what you want, right? So I overrun, it's on my to-do list. But yeah, so that kind of thing. So to Jean's point, what do we look at on LinkedIn? We looked at those recommendations. You can do skill sets type things, like, so, plus, I've experience in this, kind of the thumbs up with that. And then, gosh, there was something else I wanted to say about LinkedIn, and it's going right out of my head. I'll figure it out, but yeah. But LinkedIn is definitely your digital resume.
I have a question. This is kind of an old school thing, but I was just curious, is it still relevant to send a thank you note
Yes.
after your interview?
Yes.
Digitally nowadays, though, I
Yes.
did both at GSD&M, I did double, so I did digital out of the 10 people I had to interview with, right, I sent them all an email within 24 hours, an email thank you, it goes a long
Yes, it
way.
does.
And not a canned one, not a 3 sentences you sent to the exact same company. And it shouldn't be more than a little paragraph, but at least 1 or 2 of the sentences needs to be something personalized that you talked about with that hiring manager. You talk to 10 hiring managers, send 10 separate ones to do that.
Yes.
You've got their email from the calendar invite or whatever with the interview, or send it to the recruiter who will forward it on your behalf. And then I also did snail mail, paper one, so in advertising, there's a thing, a Pantone matching ship. Anyways, I got these very specialized advertising agency thank you notes, right? I wrote them, so it's just another thing to stand out. Now, this is during the pandemic, so one person said, you must have thought I was the rudest person, because I didn't see this thing for like 4 months. Like, no one's checking.
Nobody was going
back
out
in
the house
office
to
now,
check
right, or
out.
hybrid, but yeah, so, yeah. But yes, definitely the digital thank you goes, listen, especially at even the high levels, I've had people say, they didn't send a thank you, right? So, for sure.
Because it's all about respect and being polite and thanking somebody for their time, regardless. Like my C-suite send thank you notes. So it's not just at a specific level, right? Somebody is, going for a CMO role, they will send a thank you note to the CEO and the COO and the CFO if they met with all of them, board members, whatever.
I remember what I wanted to say about the resumes, typo. Jean mentioned it, first off, do not have a typo on the resume. Have your dad, your mom, your sister, your brother, your coworker, look at, look at the resume, make sure you put it in Word, make sure you have spell check it. We literally just did not hire someone 2 weeks ago because of a typo on the resume, okay? And another ad agency in Austin is known for that as well. Typo means no attention to detail. You're sending that resume out to so many people, how can you not focus so much attention on the resume, right?
And watch those dates too. Like people will make a mistake, but I'm looking at it. I'm looking for gaps in employment, right? And so be careful that 7 was supposed to be a 6 or whatever, because I'm going to call you on it. I'm like, so what'd you do for that 3-year period? And they're like, well, no, I went from one job to the next. I'm like, well, not what it says on your resume. So where were you for 3 years?
We
right?
almost didn't hire a marketing director over that too. The gap that had to be explained away.
Yep.
I also think this could be a hot take, but just be careful with using ChatGPT.
Mm.
To write resumes, to write thank you notes. I think we can tell.
Yes.
So if you are doing that route, just make it your own a little
now,
bit.
Now we're playing with ChatGPT to do job descriptions. We absolutely are. But having said that, you have to put the GSD spin on it. But
Yeah, we can tell.
Yeah.
Do you care about months on resumes? Because I don't, like after 2 years, I don't remember.
LinkedIn's gonna get you on the month. So that used to be my thing. I love to quit a job in March and have a job lined up by the end of the year. I love to have 6 months to go travel. That was my passion, right? So I'm around the block. I really only worked in 13 years advertising, because what did I do? I traveled all over the world. I would take a break and do that kind of thing. So you used to be able to get away with a more old school paper because you could say X year to X year of the years lineup. LinkedIn will call you out on the months though. LinkedIn gets into that when you enter dates. I don't think nowadays they'll let you enter it unless you enter the month. Used to be you could, I think they've changed the algorithm. So they'll get you on that, yeah.
And it might as well be consistent with your resume.
Are you also, do you have a bigger gap? Like I had a 5-year not working gap. So is there something that makes you have that specific question?
I just have before I went in-house, like client side, I did a bunch of freelancing consulting and they overlapped and it just got really confusing and it didn't really make
That's
sense.
Okay to have
I just wanted to look logical on my,
It's okay to have overlapping time with freelance. That means you're a hard worker.
Yeah.
You're on the side doing one
Side
of
hustle.
Abby's side hustle jobs. That's okay if it overlaps in that way. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
As long as current, most recent, to Jean's point, we really care about those past 5 years. That's what when I was at Robert Half, if a candidate, especially if I'm hiring a senior role, and they wanted to talk about from in school, and they did this, I don't want to hear about it. I want to go most recent down. I never want to go bottom up, right? We only have 30 minutes on an interview, screening call, so.
And I would even say if you're fresher out of school, right, 0 to 2 years, the sooner you can get more real world experience and drop your school experience from your resume, the better.
Right.
I mean, unless you had internship's important, but some people include like class projects, stuff like that. I would try to steer away from that if you have internship experience, make that the highlight, even if that makes your resume a little bit shorter.
The same with education too. Like a lot of people, even, C-suite, put their education at the top of their resume. I'm more interested in your relevant work experience. The education is icing on the cake. Put it on the back, right? I'm gonna go through and go, oh, you got your master's degree from Harvard, great. But you've also done all of this other stuff. So as quick as you can get that relevant work experience, move the education back.
I tell entry-level advertising folks, as soon as, like even our interns, as soon as you graduated, boom, education goes down at the bottom. Or if it's a two-column resume format, it goes to the side. But definitely tenured folks, 2+ in working, definitely at the bottom.
Yeah.
So we have about 5 more minutes for questions, if anybody would like to find out a little bit more.
I have a question pertaining to exactly this. So I'm actually pursuing my master's part-time right now, and spending a lot of money and time to do that. So it is at the top.
Yes.
Would you recommend that, even though it's something I'm actively pursuing on top of my full-time career, should that be pushed to the bottom?
What level, stage? How many years have you been working in the workforce?
5.
5 years, and then pursuing masters at the same time. So that is okay, because if you're still in school, you can put it up at the top and say anticipated or expected graduation date. That when you're in school, similarly to students who are in school, education's up at the top. I want to know you're still in school.
Right. And
don't start talking to me, you're out. We're going to fill that role in 2 months for entry level, maybe even 4 weeks, right? So I don't want, I'm not going to start, and so those conversations. So if you're in school, 100% up at the top, expected graduation date. For getting your master's in that way, I would do the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Because that speaks volumes, right?
Yeah.
You're working, you're going to school, so that tells us a little about you as an individual and as a potential
And a
employee.
recent accomplishment, right, up at the top. Versus after you've gained the master's and you're in role 5 years, you're going to put it down at the bottom.
That's great. Fantastic information. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Jean. So we're going to have a little bit of time now to just mingle and get more information on a one-on-one basis. So give us a good kind of applause for this. Thank you so much. This was great.
Yeah. Thank you. Connect with us on LinkedIn. Send us LinkedIn connection.
Yes. And I'm sure we all have business cards, so you can.
So I was going to ask that before we.
I was gonna ask that too.
Yeah, our business cards are still relevant. So I just, I'm probably the oldest person here in the audience.
Robert Half was still printing digital cards when I was in. They might have stopped since, but
digital, but
now
there's a card back there, the QR code.
But the QR codes, or even LinkedIn connecting is the best. That's your digital.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah.
Now, when CMO level or more, they might want a card out of courtesy, or I need to see. So a higher ranking level.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
And as well, those that are interested, we do have a photographer outside to take headshots. If you're interested.
So I've done a lot of for the copy of Jillian. Nice to meet you. What do you work in? I have to be a person. So I think you're gonna just want to just continue on what you're doing and make it relevant on that person so much that you're hearing that different subjects you really focus on and
yeah, but they spell it C-H-T-I-L.
I was about that. Yeah, I know that.
I think the ones in there is
Yeah, I really I did kind of like the dad. So right now,
find something random that I don't know.
Yeah, so that's
Which is
So annoying.
my
But I'm interested to hear about resume writing. That was a I
I've been here for like 15 years and I've got them up like because someone
No,
I have
it's
a
so
friend
funny.
who
So
said
I was actually
get back
I worked for a startup here in Austin, and
well, I hired a resume
wasn't
for
you know, we don't have
like all these errors and just like just it's really janky and like irrelevant. That's not saying
Mine was more like I met with someone 5 different ways of where I met with her in the area, literally met her in the area, so they met with her in the area. So I feel like I have some pieces, but I'm interested.
It's kind of like, hey, like, that's
my big question is like, I mean, I get the quantification. I used to, luckily I got like a contract gig, so I don't have to like hustle and just like absurd. It was like all the good remote jobs.
I think a lot of it is just
Literally like a direct
staying in touch.
What's the applicant?
No, it's like 1,000.
What is happening?
And then it's already filled. It's not even without
Yeah, and then you get like auto-generated email later.
Of a denial.
This, we already internally for that.
Well, I think they have to legally.
So resume word, you'll score your resume. It's called resume word. It's AI software specifically designed to get it's like she mentioned.
They all got it.
It's like a resume reader. Like, so they have their criteria for role, and the ATS scans hundreds of resumes and weeds out the ones that don't meet requirements.
Right.
But
Because I also heard that because Collins doesn't get read by ATS that you want it to have no
Here's a good one too. Mine got through, but I also don't think it was reading anything on one side, which is fine because that's just one information.
Yeah, mine was too cool. Someone was like, oh no, it has to be one column so it's read and just like facts.
Absurd. But I mean,
it's because there's so many applicants. I get it.
Yeah.
But how would they even hire anyone? Like, to go through the process there. That's so I get it.
so my concern is like, where's the line between like very simple explanations of like, this is my role, I did this, and because like mine aren't super verbose, but they're very detailed. Like I put like it scores you on it. It wants quantification for every bullet, so don't put a bullet in there if you aren't quantifying.
You're using just one number.
So, but it's like I'm concerned is also like when getting to tactical things, and I'm not zoomed out enough. And so like this is
Skill set that you gain from
the general limit of this role, whatever.
And I don't know. Right. I like that too. I think contractors. I'd love to like the portfolio thing. A couple of people last week like build up from scratch. Never needed to like a true 9 to 5. Oh, you had time. Yeah, you had time.
Luckily, my wife.
Oh, really?
If I didn't have someone who could help with that, I would be completely helpful.
Do you have metrics on there though? Like campaign?
I basically did like short case studies. So I have my 2 last roles. Within those 2, I have 2 or 3 case studies. Here's a campaign I did. Here's what I did.
Are you just hoping your client every season? Like, are you just hoping your client every season?
It's all just stuff like I don't think they care what I'm not sharing anything proprietary. It's all stuff that went live and I'm not sharing. And I don't. I mean, it's not.
It's not that bad, right?
Yeah, and you know, the last company I worked for had 50,000 followers. Like, I don't think they care.
Yeah. I would just work on the agency side, so I had clients and just like drilled into this. And that's really how I never messed with people. But maybe it's so long, like it's been
But surely not.
I've talked to a lot of people who have like who have just kind of like really vague stuff or like really sort of high level like enticing stuff, but then they put a password on it and or they show it in a private call or it's like password protected or something like if there's some lawyer trolling for someone oversharing, they're not going to just.
And maybe we just don't put it on like LinkedIn. Just have it in a record.
I do think it's interesting, like people, you know, like a lot of my younger friends, like they're obsessed with like I don't know what the acronym is for FANG now, Facebook, but like, I don't know, like I'm talking about like the big,
What was the A? Oh, Amazon.
But like everybody I was just visiting one guy does experiential marketing where he only does these huge Google trade shows in San Francisco, and his wife only does, when he works for an agency, and his wife is a designer, and he only does PowerPoint presentations for and they're, I feel like they're literally both on the verge of breakdown. Just like they both, it's like the worst work-life balance. I'm just like, geez. And they both have, this guy had like a 15-year career as like a creative director at System, and she's like a hotshot designer, and it's like, why are you so miserable?
Well, you're almost like a chief of staff, kind of.
She always get in the car after like 6 or 7, and she's been working, and she was just like, irate about all these people who aren't doing what they're supposed to do.
Well, it's impossible to do anything in Google because it's like done by 1,000 cuts. It's just like a billion people reading the document at the same time. I do want to get in line with
I think if you're going to just text us how much city center or sales program business you're doing. I think we can continue that, right? Again, if there's guest speakers that come in and any of those things go to I'm not as familiar with unified sales and how that case works, but I think getting some sort of internship or any sales sales calling marketing type background is going to be different. But again, it's just going to be I think that's be persistent enough to like you're going to all that, who knows how many people can try to get touch, especially for the good people. And I mean, you could anytime, I think that's great. But I think those people start to step up to sometimes you gotta see for one thing.
I'm just trying to make some
Hi, nice to meet you. That's okay. Anything. I'm not having practice. I forgot. I was pulling in. I said, I'm like,
highlight your work ethic, your ability to maybe like put in the time, the days, the hours, So like how are we demonstrate that as part of like how I would maybe have like 4 different like restaurant managers and recommendations that you want to do or have any other details that are yeah, I take the lifeguard off. Yeah, I think anything from high school to college. I think once you're down
here's all the nutrition.
arbitrary. I know with your cards over there. It's like me and my coworker, but if you want to connect with me, all the time.
Somebody works with that, right? That's what I like to say. They always don't worry about nutrition. We don't care, right? Really just because if you say I'm that about what the job See, this is what I always say. Yeah, do the follow the rules, right? This is like a field and follow the rules, right? Submit it through the ATS, and then look at my email.
It's like sometimes candidates will have their employees with them make a decision reel, and it's like a fun little video of like all their wins, and it really shows their personality. I think that's super great. Have you gotten traction on that? Yeah, it's part of the
sometimes LinkedIn shows
I also think you really want your job so you know they're not give to the front desk or ask about the graduate job that's not I think that's I'm doing that. There's not my clients I want a job just on their I mean, they do that probably not next week, but I think that shows more in like the types of like particular aspects. I wanted the person to come here and see them as you, and I have to about the role that I love to talk about. I wish I had that advice when I was a guy. Of course, if you want to connect with me again, there's that crazy letters there, but if you ever want resumes, just chat, I'm happy to see you, Sarah. Yeah, that's awesome. Are you working right now? Yeah. Just to me, it shows you took the time to go find it.
Push the button. Does it hurt you at all?
No, it really doesn't because I mean, in a lot of cases,
I think definitely like your relative experience there. I think it's like, are you commenting? So it does. What are your debates on it? Being actually good for a lot of people. If you're not working, like, and say you're a writer, check that, you know, oh, I thought all these things, right? Like, okay, so being present on LinkedIn, like, don't just be someone that has like, right? Like, expand your network, connect with people, follow different content. And I was right. That's so interested in like
one more way to see it.
Why do they want to work that hard?